Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Virtual Island Summit. Thank you so much for joining this session. My name is Christian Zakino, and I'm the Director of Operations at Island Innovation. I am from Margarita Island in the Caribbean, but I'm currently based in the beautiful coastal city of Vigo in Galicia, northwest Spain. I'm pleased to be here presenting this session. Island Innovation is a sustainable development consultancy, primarily focusing on islands. Our services include events, strategic communications, and capacity building. We are trusted by clients around the globe, and if you're interested in learning more about our work, please reach out to us using the contact information available in the chat. Now, before we begin, you should see a poll appear now on your screen. Please let us know where you are connecting from and the sector and industry you belong to. So you will have some minutes to fill out the poll. And while you do that, let's speak a bit about this session. The session is titled Connecting Nature-Based Climate Resilience and Sustainable Tourism, Pathways for Insular Territories. This session is organized by the CPMR Islands Commission. We are going to explore the future of sustainable tourism on EU islands, emphasizing the need for a mindset shift that prioritizes community, well-being, and sustainable development. By engaging local and regional actors and promoting innovation, education, and nature-based solutions, tourism can support climate resilience. The CPMR Islands Commission, alongside its partners, advocates for island-specific needs in EU policies and supports relevant projects like the NA Tour for Change and initiatives like Responsible Islands. This roundtable will highlight tourism's potential for insular economic diversification, climate adaptation, and mitigation, featuring insights from regional authorities and experts. It aims to share experiences, inspire solutions, and identify key actions to guide islands toward sustainable tourism models. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat. Thank you for joining this session from Oslo, from Dubai, from the Maldives, from Jersey, from Indonesia, from Colombia, Portugal, from Indonesia again, the UK, the Philippines, Scotland, a lot of people. Thank you for participating. So let's see the poll results. All right, so we have the majority of the people on the session with 32% are from Europe, and we have 18% from the Caribbean, which is very nice to see. We also have 11% from Africa, 14% from North America, 7% from South and Central America, 16% from Asia. Thank you, everyone, for joining from Asia. And we also have some people from the Indian Ocean and the Pacific. Thank you so much. The sector. So we have most of you from the private sector, which makes sense. Usually the tourism sector is the private sector in countries. And we also have people from academia, NGOs, and governments. And about the industry, we have environmental services and oceans conservation with 30%, but we also have a lot of people from different other sectors. It varies. Just the one that highlights the most is the environmental services sector with 30%. Thank you for filling out this information so we can get to know you better. I would invite you to also please make use of the chat function to introduce yourself and where you're joining from. Please mention your island and then the country if it belongs to a country, or if your island is a country, you can mention the island. As you know, here we are in Island Innovation and we focus primarily on islands and coastal cities. So please make sure that you also see the Q&A function that is on the lower left of Zoom. That's where you will add your questions. Any questions that you may have for our distinguished panelists, please feel free to add them there. And we will do our best to make sure that we can address as many as possible upon the Q&A part of the session. Now, without further ado, let me invite our moderator for this session to come on stage, Lise. Thank you so much to Lise. She is from the CPMR's Islands Commission, and she's your moderator for today's session. Lise, you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Christian. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this virtual Island Summit session. I am delighted to moderate today's roundtable discussion on connecting nature-based climate resilience and sustainable tourism, how to find pathways for insular territories. Tourism has long been one of the main pillars of island economies, but its future depends on the profound transformation. To remain viable, it must evolve into a model that places island communities, ecosystems, and climate resilience at its core. This shift requires engaging local people, fostering interregional cooperation, encouraging education, and advancing innovative and nature-based solutions. Only then can islands move toward tourism that not only sustains livelihoods, but also safeguards the environment and strengthens resilience against climate change. I am Liz Guénal. I am a Senior Project and Policy Officer at the Islands Commission of the CPMR. And we are co-organizing this roundtable with Island Innovation. The CPMR Islands Commission is one of the 6 geographical commissions of the CPMR, which is a conference of peripheral maritime regions of Europe. It was created in 1973, and it's a non-profit organization based in France, gathering around 160 regional authorities. The Island Commission itself gathers 18 regional authorities and was created in 1980. And we are representing islands across the globe, from the Mediterranean to the Baltic, the Atlantic, the Indian and Pacific Oceans, which are home to around 15 million citizens. Our mission is to defend the specific interests of islands at the European level and to ensure that their unique specificities and opportunities are well recognized. Regarding sustainable tourism, the CPMR and its Islands Commission have been especially proactive. The CPMR is a signatory of the Glasgow Declaration, which is a voluntary commitment which requests organizations to support halving emissions by 2030 and to achieve net zero emission by 2050 at the latest, and to deliver climate action plans. In October 2024, the Islands Commission has also adopted a comprehensive policy position calling for a fundamental shift in tourism on islands. Our new vision stresses that sustainability must not be an add-on. It must be placed at the very heart of tourism models. The Islands Commission argues for a tourism strategy that adapts to the specificities of islands' territories. So we must address carrying capacity that should be better assessed and managed, seasonality and connectivity that require long-term solutions, including investments in sustainable maritime and air transport. Housing challenges that are caused by tourism also must be addressed to protect residents' right to stay and social cohesion. Indeed, tourism must be leveraged to support local products, circular economy initiatives, and ecosystem-based approaches, all while aligning with the aspiration of local communities. So this work by the Islands Commission comes at a very timely moment. Why? Because the European Commission has recently launched a consultation on its upcoming EU strategy for sustainable tourism. And from the Islands Commission, we have contributed to those consultations. It is a key opportunity to ensure that the island perspective is fully integrated. And at the same time, the Vice President, Raffaele Fitto, has announced a work on a future EU strategy for islands. So these two strategies must speak to each other. The EU tourism agenda must reflect island realities, and island strategies must prioritize sustainable tourism as a driver for resilience and economic diversification. Today, our roundtable aims to bring this issue into focus. We will explore how sustainable tourism can become a major driver of economic diversification for islands, while also strengthening their resilience against climate change. I am thrilled today because we are welcoming an excellent panel of experts and practitioners. First of all, from the Mediterranean, we will welcome highlights from the Nature for Climate Change project. We will welcome Dr. Isidora Markovic-Vudakin, who is Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Tourism and Project Leader of the Nature for Climate Change project. Then we will hear from Mrs. Luisa Mulas, who is Officer in the Department of Environmental Protection from the Autonomous Region of Sardinia. And we will hear from Mrs. Kyriaki Theodorou, who is Associate Project Manager of Nature for Climate Change from the region of Crete. Then, in a second time of this session, we will have some perspective from an outermost region. We will welcome Mrs. Deborah Thomas, who is Head of Marketing at the Responsible Islands Initiative in the Canary Islands. So before our discussion starts, both the perspective from the Mediterranean and the outermost region will give us some comprehensive views of the challenges and opportunities ahead. I encourage you in the audience to engage actively and to ask your question in the Q&A box, to exchange your experiences so we further work together to shape a future where island tourism is not only sustainable, but also climate resilient. With that in mind, let's begin our roundtable discussion. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Isidora Markovic-Vudakin. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for your introduction. Thanks to the Virtual Island Summit for this opportunity to at all present our project. And thank you all for being here today and participating in this panel. Hopefully we will bring some information that will be of your interest and perhaps even awaken some new ideas. I'm here as a representative of the Nature for Climate Change project, where I'm a project coordinator, and on behalf of Institute for Tourism, where I'm a senior researcher in Croatia. As you know, Croatia, some of you know, Croatia has more than 1,000 islands, but most of those islands are small or very small islands, and only 40 of them are inhabited, but are currently under big pressure of mass tourism and of seasonality of tourism as it is, and impact on space, environment, and of course on climate. But today here I will just take some time to present, first of all, our project, Nature for Climate Change, which is a project that is already lasting for half of its period, for a year and a half or almost two. And we have in our project 10 project partners from 6 EU countries, plus one project partner from a Slavian country that's from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and additional 18 associate partners, which are also encouraging and giving us new ideas how to go further on. These are our partners, and as you can see, 2 of those regional partners are actually from island regions, Sardinia and Crete, from which perspective you will hear a bit later from my colleagues. While also our partner from Croatia, Natura Jadera, has pilot site on island of Dugi Otok, which is one of the islands with a high pressure of tourism. Additional to regional partners, we have technical partners, CPMR, of course, from where Lisa is, but also IFCN, Plan Bleu, HSPN, and of course, us, Institute for Tourism. When we are talking about our project, it's important to see what are the issues that we are trying to resolve, solutions that we are offering, and change that is going to happen based on those solutions. My main goal is to improve sustainability and increase the resilience of coastal diverse Mediterranean tourism regions, especially in the aspect of the climate change impacts, through the capacities of governing tourism, and also through the implementation local level of ecosystem-based approaches and capitalizing on the role of the nature, which we often ignore and just rely on technical solutions. But obviously, nature can give us solutions that we just sometimes don't recognize, even though they are openly in the tradition of the regions we are trying to help with. When we are talking about the main issue that we are trying to resolve through the project is to in the destinations, on the Mediterranean destinations with a high impact of tourism, but with also very high natural values, to try to address the tourism-related impacts from climate change. The solution that we are offering is in the first place, improving the regional tourism governing capacities, but also supporting and strengthening DMOs to test innovative solutions, especially focused on the nature-based solutions, which I'm going to talk a bit afterwards about. And in the end, the change must occur. Without the change, we cannot continue further. That change must happen on national, regional, and local level. And those changes are especially important through the administration, where we must focus on more effective planning sustainable tourism as a whole, sustainable tourism, and especially having in our mind to mitigate climate change contributions and improve pilot destinations to become more resilient to climate change in the first line, but also to other impacts and risks that are occurring in the regions. Since now, I'm just going to go shortly because colleagues are going to go in more details. We have developed in all work packages of our project diverse deliverables and solutions that we can offer also to other destinations worldwide, especially Mediterranean, but also worldwide. I would just stress out some most important ones, such as the approach for identification assessment of the main coastal tourism related issues. Additionally, approach for drafting regional destination tourism climate strategies and plans, and of course, nature-based solution implementation manuals. Those are all methodological documents that can be used with, I would say, not only on Mediterranean destination, but each destination, coastal destination worldwide. On the other hand, on the regional level, we have also developed documents which are based on the methodology I now mentioned previously, identification assessment of the main coastal related issues, and also climate strategies for tourism and enabling conditions. The same happened on the local level, where we are focusing on actions. Therefore, it's a climate action plan for tourism which is developed. And also, we have established some bodies such as Tourism Climate Action Forum, Task Force, or also Regional Coordination Unit, which are involved in the process and guidelining it to its success. I would now, before I go to the nature-based solutions and some examples, just try to stress out why are we doing all of this. I like this statement very much, that the long-term costs of ignoring climate change will exceed the cost of any other crisis. Therefore, it's very important to address these questions even when the impacts are low, which is not the case anymore so often, and also to address those impacts, if possibly, through the local solutions, through the solutions to the community. And that's why nature-based solutions are coming here as the obvious solution, where we must, I must say that that when we are talking about the nature-based solutions, it's quite important to stress that it's not just kind of wording, it's a model with very clear standards that have to be implemented and that are not just taking in consideration, of course, nature, but also societal challenges and the benefits for the human well-being and biodiversity. They are focused on the use of traditional knowledge like fishing, farming, in climate adaptation strategies, on community engagement in planning, monitoring, and co-management of the resources, and of course, on the co-benefits through the biodiversity protection, through the reduced emissions, to enhancing local livelihoods. So the diverse topics can here be addressed. And of course, the most important outline should be the restoration of coastal ecosystems through the wetlands, seagrass, dunes, to the nature. That's the most important impact. One example I would like to present from Croatia also. It is not so much connected. It is also having elements of nature-based solutions within, but this is the Ceres and Lošinj Islands, which are in the northern part of the Adriatic, which have really turned to the sustainable solutions. There we also implemented ecotourism product in one of the previous Interreg project, Estimate Plus, which has been very successful. And it's also done through the health and well-being tourism, which is the branded Lošinj is the island of vitality, to the nature-based tourism, especially in the marine habitats, to the community involvement, through the local stakeholders engaging in tourism planning, capacity building workshops, and so on. Sustainable mobility, which is very hard implemented in the islands, such as e-bikes, walking trails, low emission transport solutions where possible, and of course sharing knowledge and knowledge transfer between the regions and the islands, highlighting the role of the islands as I would say, living labs for sustainable practices. And in the end, very important to stress out through the indicators and carrying capacity, which are now in Croatia mandatory for all tourism destinations. So that's one, I would say, very important step to the sustainability. And to summarize, of course, what is our possibilities to scale up across EU, but also other regions, is to develop knowledge by sharing platforms across the islands, through the network twining. This is one great example also, through providing policy initiatives and funding mechanism. Funding is always a problem. We have to find possibilities for funding sustainable infrastructure and green tourism, through encouraging public-private community partnerships, of course, through promoting different models such as renewable energy cooperatives, community-based tourism, integrated mobility solutions. That are the pathways we have to follow. And in the end, based also on the knowledge of our project, it's very important to embed tourism strategies within climate resilience and adaptation planning. So that would be all from me for now. Thank you very much on your attention, and please, as Lisa has previously said, do ask us questions in chat if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isidora, and thank you for showing us this very interesting project into which we are very proud to be a partner also from the CPMR. Now we will go a bit deeper into some examples from this project as well, with Mrs. Luisa Mulas, who is officer at the Department of Environmental Protection from the Autonomous Region of Sardinia. And she will present Sardinia's approach in sustainable tourism planning amid increasing coastal risk, notably. So what mechanisms were used to involve local communities and stakeholders in Sardinia to develop regional planning towards sustainable tourism? How is your region addressing climate risk like coastal erosion or sea level rise in tourism planning? And what are the tangible outcomes in terms of awareness that are expected from this planning model so far? And in the end, if you have any key lessons that you would like to share with us with other insular regions that are also aiming for an inclusive and climate smart tourism planning. Thank you so much, Luisa. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you to you. And yes, we are now going to move to Sardinia. That is an island that is in the middle of the Mediterranean. So I'm going to share my screen and just to show you, just to try to answer to these questions. So the first point is about how we deal with the participatory process. So first of all, it's important to say that as a regional level, we started to analyze the problem, the topic of climate change and tourism, starting from different kind of plans. The plans from the National Strategy on Climate Change Adaptation, the Regional Strategy on Climate Change Adaptation, and the Regional Strategy on Sustainable Development that has been written with a very wage involvement of regional departments, local authorities, representative of trade unions and trade and association, third sector associations. So it has been right with a wide participatory process. Another plan that we take in consideration has been the regional strategic plan on tourism that is also come from a participatory process. But what we are trying to do now with the project, that is the Nature for Climate Change project, is to start to have a comprehensive approach. That is to write together, put all together, all the information together, and we are driving a participatory project at regional level and also using elements coming from the pilot, our local pilots. So as you may see here, this is the shape of our region, and in the left side, you see the distribution of overnight stays. As you may see, it is concentrated absolutely on the coastal line. But what is also concentrated in the coastal line are some effects, some impacts of the climate change. This is just an example of the tropical nights and the anomaly that we are able to foresee for in 30 hours years from now. So the point is how we awareness of this situation, how we, like as a tourist department, aware of what is going to happen in 20, 30 years in our region, and how the associated, the trade associations or the touristic industry are aware of that. So the first step is to raise this kind of awareness, to put the things together and to merge sectoral plans into an integrated strategy. And this is the goal of the regional unit that we have established some months ago, and it is composed by the tourism department, the planning department, and the environmental department at regional level. And the real output to come of this process will be to mix competences, to real understanding of the interlinkages between these different aspects, and start a process of integrated planning. So the undergoing process is to drive a participatory workshop that will involve regional stakeholders to analyze this climate risk in depth using the impact chain method, and in order to identify the main adaptation actions and rank the priorities. So what we are going to do is also to define how to introduce nature-based solutions in the regional plan, building on the experiences and pilot projects already implemented at local level. And one for these is the pilot that is going to be produced in Legacy News. So what I also made some suggestion, some hints to those who have to start this process. The simply there is simply start. So the main hint is just use what you have available. If you have a plan, if you have a priority issue on the regional agenda, start from it. Almost all of the issues are linked to climate change. Another hints maybe is just to use a cross-sector working group. perhaps created for another but related issue, to start building a common language, an understanding of climate change and its impact. And also involve science, university, or maybe research centers that can help you to create good information and place where to share this good information and create as many synergies as possible with other plans or other strategies, other working groups, with colleagues from different departments. So let's simply start. Maybe we encounter difficulties. Maybe you may feel you are progressing slowly, but I'm sure that results will compensate for the effort. So simply start. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you very much, Luisa. Thank you for sharing the complex and long, let's say, process to develop this regional plan, and also to see how the different departments, different elements that you need to take into consideration to make it effective. Now we are moving to Crete with Mrs. Kyriaki Theodorou to have a discussion together. You are an associate project manager from also the Nature for Climate Change project from the region of Crete. And today we will focus on how to emphasize sustainable tourism and climate resilience regional planning within the Crete's involvement in this project, the Nature for Climate Change project. From your point of view, how is the region of Crete embedding climate resilience into tourism strategies at the regional level?
Yes, thank you, Liz. I'm very happy to be here today. So at regional level, Region of Crete has already a regional plan for climate change adaptation that sets our main priorities for all sectors of environment and economy, including tourism. It also sets our key area priorities and goals along with adaptation measures for a long-term and short-term period. We've also created a regional mechanism for climate change adaptation that is a partnership between Region of Crete and 7 research institutions of the island, aiming to exchange scientific knowledge and applied research. Part of this mechanism is the Climate Change Observatory, where it aims to collect, analyze, evaluate climate data and monitors risks and vulnerabilities so that it can help us adjust our tourism strategy. And of course, we are working as a region to integrate climate resilience into our regional spatial plan. This is a plan that shows how tourism and tourist facilities could be developed in the near future on our island. At the same time, we participate in many EU projects like Nature for Climate Change that gave us a lot of new tools and methods and solutions that we can use and integrate in the near future on our tourism strategies. Nature-based solutions, as discussed earlier, are a new innovation tool and that are very helpful and give a new perspective on tackle the challenges of our islands and are a very good way to involve local communities into our policies and our efforts.
Thank you, Kyriaki. How are regional and interregional cooperation contributing to this transformation?
Yes, of course, we think that interregional cooperation among other regions that face similar problems are important because the exchange of data, of knowledge or best practices improve us and makes us to take more concrete actions. And this is what we are here today to do. This is a great initiative that brings together islands and islands regions to discuss about their challenges, their problems, possible solutions. And what is most important is what we do here is that this makes our voice stronger. And our problems and challenges more visible to a wider audience. Also, to go back to interregional cooperation, interregional partnerships makes it easier to access resources and implement pilot projects like this project were involved. At the same time, regional cooperation between local and stakeholders is equally significant to us because it creates a strong force of action. It ensures that our actions and our policies are coherent, not fragmented, and it gives us clear responsibilities. An example of that is the management plan of Chrysi Island. Chrysi Island is an island uninhabited in the southeastern part of Crete. It has a very sensitive ecosystem. It has a cedar forest that we want to protect. It has small-scale tourism facilities, and it faces erosion and high tourism pressure from tourists on summer season. To respond to these challenges, to these issues, local and regional stakeholders came together, they worked together, and they designed a management plan which shows and identifies and divides each action and each measure to each stakeholder involved.
Thank you, Kyriaki. So what does long-term regional climate planning look like in practice for sustainable tourism, especially on your island?
Yes, long-term climate planning for us balances environmental protection, tourism competitiveness, and cultural heritage protection. We want to transform the classic sea and sun model that we have here in Greece to a more climate resilient, diversified, and all year round model. Nature-based solutions are a step and a tool towards that. For us, that means that we continue to monitor and collect climate data through our climate change observatory so that we can revise our tourism and our climate strategy accordingly. Low precipitation is a problem that some parts of our island face. So water management and investments in infrastructures like desalination or smart irrigation are part of our long-term plan. And as said, we want to promote alternative forms of tourism like ecotourism and all year round tourism so that we can reduce tourism pressure on summer season. And of course, what we want is to involve local communities in the decision-making process from the beginning and have the support of and coordination of regional and local stakeholders to ensure that all our actions are consistent across the island. Ultimately, what we want is to create a sustainability culture and to promote a sustainability culture and encourage our visitors to be more climate conscious and environment conscious.
Thank you. And would you have any key lessons that you would like to share with other insular territories who would like to go into this inclusive and climate smart tourism planning?
Yes, first of all, planning should be based on scientific data. So it is important to collect and analyze data, identify priority areas and actions to adjust your strategies. Cooperation among local stakeholders, regional stakeholders, or cooperation in all forms of governance is also important because it ensures resources and avoid fragmented policies that actually have no results. Innovative solutions like nature-based solutions could be used more often in our strategies because they are effective and are a way to involve citizens and local communities in their implementation. And to that, to continue with that, to add to that, citizens again need to be engaged in the design and decision-making process on tourism policy from the start, because when people are involved in these processes, then we have a better knowledge, a better understanding of their needs, of their area needs, and we can take appropriate measures. But it is also crucial for citizens to being involved so that they can understand the challenges, the solutions that are selected, and the results that are achieved. Also very important is for them to be involved in the evaluation process afterwards, because this is something that builds trust and transparency between citizens and authorities. And what we want is to have people as the partners to all our efforts and policies.
Thank you so much, Kyriaki, for all those information and for sharing your experience from the Crete region. It was really interesting also that you highlight this importance of involving different level of governance, of how to involve local stakeholders, and how to make an effective plan that is clearly linking the sustainable tourism objectives of your region with the climate resilience. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope that you have all enjoyed to have this short glimpse of this project, the Nature for Climate Change project, and that it will have given to you some insights on how to move towards sustainable tourism and also improve climate resilience in your island. Now we are moving to some other perspective from outermost region, and I am very pleased to welcome Mrs. Deborah Thomas, who is Head of Marketing from the Responsible Islands Initiative in the Canary Islands. Thank you for joining us today. So could you please let us know what is the mission and approach of the Responsible Islands Initiative, especially regarding sustainable tourism, which is our key topic today? Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lise, for the introduction. It was really interesting to hear about the Nature for Climate Change projects in the different areas. We're moving away now from the Mediterranean, more towards the Atlantic, to the Canary Islands. We're really pleased. I'm here as a representative of the Responsible Islands project, obviously. And I always like to start off with some key figures. In this case, when we're talking about the Canary Islands, we have a population of about 2.2 million inhabitants. And I don't get tired of saying this because it keeps on amazing me. Because apart from those 2.2 million inhabitants, we actually receive 18 million visitors or tourists every year. I think that's just a little number to put into perspective of how many people are we islanders and how many people are we receiving every year, no? So this obviously brings challenges with itself as well. Receiving so many people, it does cause certain consequences for the territory, for the resources that we have at hand, about the environment, about the landscapes, but also on society. So the Responsible Islands Initiative was originally fostered by the government of the Canary Islands to have or to promote a collective intelligence model. What does collective intelligence model mean, really? It's looking outward at what other or how other regions have tackled similar tourism sustainability challenges on the one hand. So see what's out there instead of reinventing the wheel. On the one hand. On the other hand, we also would like to showcase what we've done in order to tackle this challenge from the inside as well. So it's got this double perspective. Let's look at what others have done, and at the same time, let's showcase and share what we've done so far. Hence, we focus on identifying, visualizing, and then also connect with best practice examples to inspire entrepreneurs locally, but also externals, in order to adapt and replicate those best practices and adapt them to our local territory. No? The ultimate goal really here is to generate new local economies in terms of sustainability and innovation, and even also in terms of technology that are either low impact or even regenerative. So in that sense, the Nature for Climate project is very much in line with what we're doing as well. Hence, the only thing that I would say is slightly different is that we have a very private business sector perspective on this. So we're aiming to inspire, but we do believe that the private sector is the one that creates the major impact. So we're combining those two elements, which can be a catalyst for sustainable business models, instead of just looking into economic volume. This is something that we've seen so far over the past decade. It's worked, but it's not working out any longer. So we need to look at alternatives. And that basically is linking back to the initial numbers that I said, no? 2.2 million versus 18 million. Something needs to be done, and it needs to be done differently.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you for highlighting in particular also the private sector and the importance as well of connecting with them. And as it was also highlighted, I think, by Isidora in her presentation, how to better link public, private, and communities to move towards further sustainable development in general, and in particular for climate resilience. And from an outermost region's point of view, can you highlight specific insular innovations or projects that exemplify sustainable tourism and climate resilience?
So since the beginning of this year, when the Responsible Islands Initiative started, we've identified numerous case studies and best practices all over the world, really. And we do have a focus on island or remote territories. And I guess that's something that the audience here can connect with as well, because we share sort of the same characteristics and same or similar challenges. So it actually works across sectors. We did put an initial focus on tourism, and even within the tourism sector, there's so many subsectors that can be tackled, and where we have seen case studies like the biophilic design for new hotel areas, for example, or touristic areas in general, prioritizing integration within the natural environment over just plain concrete. That's one of the areas. Then talking about efficient water use, because in the end, residents consume substantially less water than tourists do in our territory. So we need more data. We need more information to actually tackle those challenges that others have already tackled. For example, in Singapore, we've seen examples from Hawaii where we actually, and that I think Isidora, she also mentioned it, actually have experience-based programs in the destination where actually tourists connect with the local environment, with local society, and do programs or activities that foster preservation and conservation in terms of wildlife, biosphere, the marine life. So there's lots of examples that we've come across already. It's all on our website, and I'm not trying to make a promotion here, but in the end, I said it's a collective intelligence model. So what we're aiming for is to actually have contributions from other islands and get in touch with us on the one hand, but also have a look at our website, responsibleislands.org, where you can actually see those examples that I've just mentioned.
Thank you, Deborah. So you mentioned this website, but also how does this initiative foster knowledge exchange across outermost regions and islands?
Knowledge exchange is something that's very crucial that you mentioned here. We're still in the midst of building this platform, this dynamic platform, where we're actually showcasing the best practice samples that we've identified for our local entrepreneurs, as I said, but also for other islanders for inspiration, let's say, no? The idea is to act as a connector, so linking actors from islands, other stakeholders, but also the solution providers. And that way, avoid duplication and accelerate innovation. And as I said before, we're aiming to avoid reinventing the wheel because there's so many innovations and so many best practice examples out there. Sometimes it's just about finding the right person and connecting with those person in order to learn from each other and adapting smart to your own territories. So it's sharing success stories, but also learning from the mistakes others have made in order to prevent them for our own territories. As the initiative grows, Responsible Islands, and we do really hope that we do inspire people already, but we would like to obviously do so in the future as well. We're hoping for it to be a magnet of contributions. As I said, we're really looking forward to have contributions from other islands and also showcase what the Canaries have done so far. And it's a bit of, let's say, the butterfly effect now. We want to start small, but we want to have a greater impact on the long term.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Indeed, we are, of course, inviting all islanders connected today to get in touch if they have any best practices, examples that could be integrated into the Responsible Islands initiative. And that would be very useful also to inspire other islands, as you mentioned. In the end, do you have any key messages that you would like to share with other insular territories who are also aiming for this inclusive and territorial-based resilience?
I think there's always two major elements. I don't want to say it's just two, but it's two major elements that need to sort of work consistently. That is, on the one hand, the administration and the regulatory framework, and on the other hand, it's the private sector. And together in this ecosystem, everybody must play its part in order to make things work out properly. So innovation cannot take place unless the administration paves the way for it. Hence, I would say the administration and the private sector, on the one hand, obviously, I don't want to discard academia. Research is super important in this case as well, especially when it comes to innovation driven by technology. So we really need to look at the ecosystem as such, also involving citizens, and I think it's we have to look at it as a whole. That on the one hand, and on the other hand, I think sustainability has become sort of like a buzzword, but its real engine lies in small cumulative actions. So we need to start off small in order to create a bigger impact on the long run. And that's something that we really want to achieve, by inspiring the entrepreneurs and generate economic impact away from just talking about quantity in terms of tourism, but also in terms of quantity and sustainable quantity. I hope you don't mind if I'm just going to put the website onto the chat. So anybody who would like to have a look at what's out there already is more than welcome to do so. Together with my colleague Adriana Regidor, we're both working on this project. We're more than welcome, or we're more than happy to attend anybody who would like to get some more details or to share their success stories. So in the end, this is not just a roundtable discussion for us. It's also a call to action for everybody who's here today. So we're really looking forward to connect and actually, probably have some more case studies, best practices on our website coming soon, apart from those that we've already.
Thank you so much, Deborah, and congratulations to you and to your colleague Adriana, of course, for this tremendous work, very inspiring for all our islands. And I'm pretty sure that it will be a very important initiative to be able also to support our regions into moving towards further sustainability. So we have a few minutes left and we have some questions in the Q&A. We have a first question that is addressed to Sardinia, I guess. I will just go back to it. I think it was a question regarding the involvement of stakeholders, but I don't find it anymore. So let's move to another question. Is there a private-public partnership in your countries towards sustainable development? How do you evaluate this public-private partnership, successfully or moderately successful? Is the partnership long-term or short-term? So maybe, Luisa, if in your region you have this kind of partnership, public-private partnership, could you highlight maybe an example?
Yeah, of course, we have the private sector is very involved, and also because he is now living the problem of climate change. So it's not a possibility, but it's a reality. And I answered to the question that maybe you were
Yes,
looking for.
there was
I write
another
the
question.
answer,
Thank you.
yes, so that I may go forward and answering that maybe we also have some association that are dealing with community-based tourism, so-called ecotourism, and also our regional department, our regional tourism department is really involved in desalinization. That is a way to move tourism from the coastal line to the internal areas, and also with hiking trails, with tourism based on sports activity, on cultural spots. That is also a way just to reduce the impact in terms of territorial impact, and also in the period, in the peak line. So this is one of the main ways we are trying to deal with this problem.
Okay, thank you. And maybe from Crete region, do you have this kind also of private-public partnership to help also towards sustainable development? And how do you evaluate it? Is it successful, moderately successful, long-term or short-term partnership?
Yes, so we have the Innovation Business Observatory, which is an initiative from Crete. It is a unit that brings together local businesses with scientists and other resources like funding. Its main goal is the cooperation between local businesses and scientists to apply innovation methods and innovation tools. And there is also a part of mentoring from scientists and expertise to our local companies.
Okay, thank you. And Isidora, also from Croatia, do you have this kind of public-private partnership also helping you in developing sustainable tourism strategies or climate resilience plan?
Yes, well, yeah, of course, there are private-public partnerships, but I would say that in this moment, mostly the public part is, pulling them out, because the private sector is usually doing quite well with the standard operations in tourism. And then the government has directed through the laws, bylaw acts, and so on, what must be done in the measurement of the sustainability of tourism, carrying capacity, and so on. And now the private sector is actually a bit fighting over those rules that now are done by the state. But in the end, there are some successful examples, even though in this moment, I would say there are short-term partnerships in individual projects, while in the future, I believe there's a need for further networking and making a different task force that will cooperate better.
Okay, thank you very much for this overview. Maybe Deborah, if you already mentioned this involvement of the private sector, if you have another additional information for us regarding that, do you consider it successful, for example, in the Canary Islands?
Just talking about sustainable mobility, I think there are some private public-private collaborations already, which is always helpful. In general, I think as I said, the administration or the public sector needs to pave the way. So we do have quite some involvement, and I think there's also this so-called the journey to decarbonization, which is something that's quite relevant for the Canary Islands. And in this sense, we're sort of pioneers, let's say, in and just tracking what decarbonization really means, not just for the public sector, but also for the private sector. So I think it is always a combination that needs to sort of each needs to play their part, both private and public sector.
Thank you so much. So I think we are reaching the end of this session. Thank you very much to all our speakers for your very valuable contribution, and of course for all the participants for your active engagement. I can see there are lots of inputs as well in the chat with people sharing their contact details, and of course we took note of all the different questions, and we will get back to you in due time. So what we've heard today is clear. Sustainable tourism on island is not only an economic issue, but it's also a social and an environmental one. And the good news is that islands, we are also spaces that enable innovation and cooperation, as you have seen today. So from the Mediterranean to the outermost regions, we've seen inspiring examples. Participatory planning in Sardinia, long-term resilience strategy in Crete, new tools that are being delivered by the Nature for Climate Change project, and global leadership through the Responsible Islands initiative from the Canary Islands. So thank you to all the panelists and to Island Innovation for welcoming us in this Virtual Islands Summit. The CPMR Islands Commission will continue its advocacy work to defend the voices of the islands towards the EU policies in particular. What we know is that tourism policy need to be tailored to the specific needs of the islands, that climate resilience and adaptation need to be fully integrated into the future of the tourism strategies and the future EU tourism sustainable strategy. That we need adequate funding, adequate tools and support to be available for islands regions to implement the sustainable solutions. And we have seen today, of course, with the Nature for Climate Change project, how EU funding can also be very important in that case. So the step ahead is to connect today's insights with tomorrow's strategies. We need to ensure that our islanders' voices are heard not only in Brussels, but globally, and that innovative practices are shared widely as with the help of the Responsible Islands initiative, and that the next generation of EU and international policies truly empower island territories in order for them to thrive. So thank you again to all of you for this session and to the Virtual Islands Summit. I hope that we will keep on building bridges between islanders, between regions, and to acknowledge our local realities to build sustainable strategies so that tourism becomes not only more sustainable, but also a driver for climate resilience and insular community well-being. Thank you to all of us, and I wish you a great continuation of the summit. Christian, thank you for hosting us. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for this wonderful session. And thank you, Deborah, Isidora, Luisa, and Kyriaki for your contributions. This panel has been remarkable. The chat is burning up with a lot of positive comments. Thank you to all of our attendees. And I wanted to recap and also mention that if you missed it on the opening session, we share some exciting news, and we are repeating this throughout the week. We are partnering with the Cabildo of Gran Canaria to host the Global Sustainable Islands Summit 2026. after this year's experience in St. Kitts and Nevis and last year's experience in Prince Edward Island, now the Macaronesian region and Europe will take the spotlight. The summit will be held from April 20th to the 22nd, 2026, and will be discussing solutions and advancements in sustainability. Please note that all attendees of the Virtual Island Summit can get an additional discount on the early bird ticket using a special coupon that is being shared in the chat. And also, don't miss the opportunity to enroll in the new Island Innovation course, Sustainable Islands, Strategies, Finance, and Leadership for Innovation. Take a look at the link in the chat for more information. Our next session coming up in 1 hour, don't miss it. It's the Financing Island Futures, a session sponsored by the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund. We are going to start in just 55 minutes, so please stay tuned for the emails for the Zoom link for the session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, our wonderful panelists and moderator, our attendees from all over the globe. We will see each other on the next